Today we're going to go back over the revision of how to construct an analysis of language use essay. So to begin with, I want to go over my golden rules, which is number 1, I do not care about your opinion on the issue. Your job is to analyze the language. Remember, if you forget to use the author's name to say that they are arguing something, it sounds like you're giving me your opinion on the issue. Number 2, if you copy the arguments or the contention straight from the article, you're simply proving that you're copying words off the page. Your task is to show me that you can comprehend and understand what the author is trying to say and put it in your own words. Number 3, you must track the argument. So don't just tell me this persuasive device is used. Tell me what they are arguing within those persuasive devices. Number 4, be specific about who your intended audience is. Does it include the government, teachers, parents, students? List them. Number 5, you must include at least 2 elements of fact, that is, feel, act, or think when you're discussing the effect on the reader. If it makes them think something, does it then make them act in a particular way? If it makes them feel something, does it then make them think in a particular way? So when we're going through an introduction, you have 6 elements that you need to tick off. You need to start off with the context sentence. Remember, the key things that we include in the context section is what is the issue and why is it an issue in the one sentence. Your citation includes the author, the title, the form, the source, the date. For your assessment task, your source will be an opinion piece. You need to write down what the contention of the article is. Once again, this needs to happen in your own words. You then need to identify what the tone of the article is, and that tone can be more than one because it can shift at some point. You need to highlight who the audience is, and so we're talking about all the key stakeholders who are addressed. What we said, could it be parents, could it be students, could it be the government? And the final task you need to do is outline what the purpose of the piece is. We know that the purpose is always going to be to persuade, but what are they persuading us about? So, if you're someone who's struggling to put the introduction together, I've put together a little fill in the blank. So you might say the recent and then tell me what the issue was. Has caused debate, controversy, discussion. Choose one of those words about and tell me why it's an issue. That's your first opening sentence. Give me the author's name and say their opinion piece. Put in the title. Put the rest of the citation in brackets so it doesn't make the sentence stop flowing. And then insert contends and the contention. Inner, and then you need to tell me what the name of the tone is, the author's last name, targets, tell me who the audience is to persuade us of, and tell me what the purpose is. So if you're struggling to piece those sentences together, you can use this really quick fill in the blanks. Might be something you want to put on your cheat sheet. Now, when we're discussing the body paragraphs, I want you to think back to the analogy that I keep teaching you about the cake. If you see this picture of the cake over here, you can see hundreds and thousands sprinkled all the way through the cake. Remember, this cake represents the argument. That is what you're writing about. The whole way through the body paragraph, you are going to explain to me what is being argued. And these little hundreds and thousands, all the little sprinkles of color, are the persuasive techniques. Now, the persuasive techniques make the argument better. So you need to tell me how the persuasive techniques add to the quality of the argument. We're not writing just about persuasive techniques. So for our body paragraph, we use ATL. Tell me what the author's argument is. Tell me what technique or tone they may use. Give me evidence of the persuasive technique. Then remember, this is the part where you get most of your mark, the effect on the reader. How is it making the reader act, think, or feel? and then you'll write a linking sentence to how the argument supports their contention. So we'll have a look at a practice body paragraph that we've written together, and you'll see that I've highlighted multiple different things. In the first sentence, it says, Smith opens her opinion piece by stating video games improves academic results. If you notice that we've got opens over here and we've labeled that as language of progression. Remember, we're analyzing a whole article, and this is the first part of the article that we're looking at, and that's why we refer to it as language of progression. Through the repetitive use of expert opinion and evidence, she explains how Alberto Pozo from RMIT has conducted research. His research concluded that daily video gamers recorded scores of 15 points above average for maths, science, and reading. So in these two sentences, what we've got is we've labeled, and do you see how we've just sprinkled in the different persuasive techniques that have been used? And then our evidence, even though in the blue we're tracking the argument the whole time, we're telling you who said what and why. What are they actually telling us? And our evidence proves to us that this is our evidence of an expert opinion, who's Alberto, and he's an expert because he works at RMIT. And we know that they're using evidence because he's telling us the scores that recorded scores of 15 points above average for maths, science, and reading. Here, all of our evidence has been integrated within what the argument actually is. The whole time we've spoken about this argument and we've sprinkled in that evidence and the persuasive techniques. Okay, now when we look at this next section of the body paragraph, in purple, we're looking at the effect on the reader. And the yellow parts, we're looking at the specific audience members. So reading this research finding, teachers may feel they should experiment with video games within their classroom to see if it benefits their students' results. It also may influence parents to think twice when their child is playing video games and allow them to acknowledge the benefits. The other thing you need to notice is when we're speaking about the effect, we've used the keyword may and may again, because we don't know for sure that is the definite effect on the audience. So we can only allude to a potential situation that they may feel. And then our linking sentence says, through the overwhelming amount of evidence, readers begin to open their minds to the benefits of video games. We know that the contention of this piece was that there are benefits to video games. Now, some of you might like the challenge of doing an image analysis. And what we've done is we've actually wedged this little image analysis within a body paragraph here in the colors. You need to remember that if you're going to use an image to discuss as one of your within one of your arguments, you need to discuss it in the body paragraph that the image actually relates to. So in class, we looked at an article on how the train system doesn't work really productively, and we've got a picture of a rundown train. So that would relate to the argument when we say that the train systems aren't working productively. So remember, when you're going to discuss the image, it needs to relate to the argument. The 3 rules that I have for when you're analyzing an image are found over here. And I want you to remember that you need to transition into the image analysis. So you need to say that the piece is also accompanied by a supporting image. You need to describe what the image is of. And then you need to provide an analysis of what can be concluded from the image. And when you're analyzing the image, you need to refer to the visual techniques which are being used. Okay, so let's have a read of this paragraph. Elliot finally proposes that it is unjust to the workplace if you take advantage of your sick leave. He begins to attack bludgers by outlining the loss of productivity to small to medium-sized firms. He further uses a metaphor when he states sick leave is not a pot which you can dip into whenever it suits you. If you never fall sick, then you have no right to claim that category of leave. And here's our transition. This argument is supported through the use of an accompanied image that uses a specific angle to show the alcohol in front of the image to indicate that the person asleep has passed out due to the alcohol in the image. The lighting is also used to show that it is daytime and the man could be taking a sick leave due to his overdrinking. This potentially positions the everyday working Australian to feel guilty due to the fact that they might have done the same thing before without recognising the effects on the workplace. This potentially makes the reader change what they do with their sick leave. Elliot is proposing that taking advantage of sick leave is unjust to the workers, I should say. And in our conclusion, we have the contention, the audience, and the purpose. And I've done another fill in the blanks for you. Author's opinion piece, so insert what the author's name is, argued, insert what the contention is, in whichever tone they use, the author targeted, whoever the audience is, and insert the purpose. So we're just putting those three things in. It should really be 2 to 3 sentences long. Now, the final thing you need to know is that you can have a cheat sheet. This cheat sheet will be single-sided, half of an A4 page of handwritten notes. Some of the things you might want to include acronyms for the structure of the essay, how to analyze an image, a list of persuasive devices and examples if that's something you're struggling with, sentence starters, and key vocabulary. Good luck.